Okay, welcome everyone. My name is Crystal Donaldson. I'm really excited to be able to talk to you today, and I hope you're loving the challenge. I'm loving all the things I'm learning and all the insight that we've been getting every morning. I love that it kind of gives us our daily dose of excitement and motivation for the day. So today I get to talk to you about something that a lot of people struggle with, and that is the stories that we tell ourselves about our health that tend to hold us back sometimes. So I get to talk to you about how to change those stories so they can start moving you forward. And I asked some of you a little bit earlier to kind of type in the chat some stories that you tell yourselves about your health that are a struggle for you. So we're going to talk about those a little bit today. So the first thing I want to explain to you is that oh, sorry, one second. I thought my computer was plugged in, but it's telling me it's not. There we go. So the difference between a fact and a story. So I'm going to give you a little example. Okay. Let's say you go to work and your coworker says, wow, your shirt is bright. And that's the fact. That's what they said, right? But then you start telling yourself a story. And you can tell yourself a story that, oh, wow, my coworker really likes my shirt. That's awesome, right? That's a story. Or you can tell yourself, oh my gosh, my coworker thinks my shirt is too bright. Okay, do you see what just happened there? So the fact was, coworker said this, the story that you told yourself is going to determine a lot, right? So what happens is our thoughts create our emotions create our actions, and our actions create our outcome. Okay, so we all have facts about our health, but we are the ones that tell ourselves a story around that fact that then creates emotions, and we react according to those emotions. So let's talk a little bit about some of the stories that we can tell ourselves sometimes about our health. So let's use the example of, let's see, we had a couple that talked about emotional eating. So let's use that one. I'm an emotional eater. Okay. So the fact is, you have eaten when you have felt an emotion, right? That's the fact. And the story that you tell yourself about that, I am an emotional eater, how does that make you feel when you tell yourself that story? You can type it in the chat. I'm going to share some of my thoughts with you. How does that make you feel? A lot of times that puts us in a victim mentality, right? I am at the effect of my emotions. I can't help it. I'm just an emotional eater. Does that make sense? So the story that you're telling yourself there, hopeless, yes. In the chat, it says hopeless or helpless, self-pity, I'm a loser, right? We just feel those feelings of like sadness and defeat. And the cool thing about this is once you recognize the stories that you're telling yourself and the way that they're making you feel, those feelings of helpless and I'm a loser and why even try, right? Those cause us to freeze up and to not move forward with our health. But if you can tell yourself a different story, then you can feel a different emotion, which will create a different action. So we have a really cool set of questions that you ask yourself when you can recognize your stories. And I'm going to share my screen with you really quick. Let's see, I don't see the button. Share my screen. Okay, that's okay. I will just read them over and you guys can try to write them down. Okay, so the first question you're going to ask yourself once you recognize your story is it true? Okay, and you may feel like that is true. Like, yeah, I'm an emotional eater. That's true. So they have this follow-up question. Can you absolutely know that it is true? Okay. And then once you ask yourself that question, then you say, okay, how do I feel when I think that thought? And what does that feeling cause me to do? How does that feeling cause me to react? Okay. Now, I love these questions because once you recognize, oh, I've eaten in the past because I felt emotional, but does that mean I eat every single time I'm emotional? Every single emotion I have, right? Maybe that's not 100% true. So then we do something and it's called flipping the script. And essentially it's just saying, hey, let's flip that around and let's question it a little bit. So then we flip it, and don't worry, I'm going to say those questions again. Okay. So then we flip it around and we say, could the opposite be true or truer? Okay. And how does that make me feel? And then you say, is this story that I'm telling myself serving me? Okay. So this is really cool. And if it's not serving you, you can then say, what is a story that will help me move forward? So let's use the emotional eating example. This one's going to be fun. So I'm an emotional eater. That was your old thing. Is it true? Can I absolutely know that it is true? How does it make me feel? Is this story serving me? Right? No, it is not serving me. So what is a different story I can tell myself to move me forward? In the past, let's try this one on. You guys can type some in the chat. I want to see what you guys come up with. What's a different story you could tell yourself about that fact that I've eaten in the past when I have felt an emotion? Okay. One of the stories I love is I haven't learned how to deal with my emotions yet, but I can. I have the tools in my hand and I can change. Okay. So that story would then cause me to feel the emotion of hope and excitement, right? And that's going to move me forward in my health instead of holding me back. Okay. I love this one that someone just typed. Yes, it is true, but I can do better. Oh, I love that. That's so great. Okay, so let's use a different one. So one of the ones that I thought of this morning was I have lost weight in the past and I gained it back. Okay, so that's the fact. I've done things in the past to lose weight, but I gained it back. Okay, so the fact is I've done things in the past and I've gained it back. The story I tell myself about that is, oh, well, then why even try? Because I'm going to lose the weight and then I'm just going to gain it right back. So why even try? Okay, so let's go and use our thought process again. First question, is it true? If I lose the weight, am I going to gain it back? Okay, is it true? Can I know that it's 100% absolutely true? No, right? Because what if I find something else that could help me lose weight, right? How do you feel though when you feel that thought of, well, I'm just going to gain it back, so what's the point? Again, those feelings of self-defeat, why even try, and lack of motivation, right? So what story, you can flip it, is the opposite true or truer? Well, I've lost weight in the past, so I can lose weight again, right? And this time I have the skills to really help me keep it off if you have the habits of health system, right? So just switching that thought and it's going to create a different emotion. So again, those questions are, is it true? Can you absolutely know it is true? How do you feel when you believe that thought? And then I love this last question, and I'm gonna leave this with you. Who would I be without that thought? This was really powerful for me. Just recently, I applied this thought work about something I was struggling with. And when one of my mentors asked me that question, who would you be without that thought? I felt like I was free. I felt like I can accomplish anything I want in my life. I am unstoppable. And that is so powerful because you have the ability. We as conscious beings, as human beings, have the ability to question our thoughts. And if we can get in a practice of doing that more often, we can have drastically different results in our lives, not just in our health, in our physical health, but in our mental health, in our relationships, in all these different areas. So asking yourself that question, who would I be without that thought? Who would you be without the thought that you're an emotional eater? Who would you be if that thought was, if you were free of that? To me, that is so powerful. So your homework, okay, moving forward today, is I want you to write down the stories that you feel have held you back on moving forward with your health, whether it's mental, physical, financial, okay? And I want you to reach out to your coach that invited you onto the challenge and share those stories with your coach and let that coach help you walk you through this thought process to create a new story. Because again, our thoughts create our emotions create our actions, and our actions create our outcomes. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful day.